G'day, guys, and welcome. I don't want to be dirty on a win. I don't. I'm not going to underestimate any win, but you can still. I mean, you can't help feel the way you do. Um, and if I was coaching that team, or if I'm in that team, I'm feeling somewhat flat with the finish to that game. And if they're not, then they're not fair dinkum. And I hope Voss uh, identified the positives, obviously, which was that third quarter. I thought was superb, but I hope he gave him a real fucking kick up the arse as well with that last quarter. And I mean a real kick up the arse. I that's us. That's us right here, right now. And we continue to wait to see whether this team of ours can evolve to being a more clinical and I suppose brutal team that can put opposition away when the opportunity is there to do so and to have complete control of that game, to take it away from North Melbourne in that third quarter and at the start of the last quarter, to then allow them to kick, what was it, last 4 goals. And I don't think we've conceded 4 goals straight in a game this year. I might be wrong on that, but I don't think we have. To actually let them, and they were easy goals as well. Easy clearances out of the middle and easy goals, broken tackles. Yeah, I feel like there's another opportunity lost with that. So it was one of those games where the siren went. It wasn't sort of jumping out of your seat or just going, fuck, that was good. That was really good. It was just like, oh, Jesus. Like it was. But you don't want to underestimate a win. And I don't know, I'm glad I listened to Chris Fagan. I love listening to Chris Fagan talk. I really do. Such a wise head. And I listened to his press conference from the Collingwood Brisbane game on Thursday evening. So I listened to that yesterday morning. He just puts everything into perspective. And he's such a realist. He speaks. And he was asked the question in the press conference about how the Lions responded and the noise around their performance against the Bulldogs the week before, and they were under the pump and blah 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 and all this type of stuff. And this is coming from obviously the outside noise and mainstream media. And Chris Fagan just said this. He summed it up perfectly. He just said, I feel like everyone thinks we are just going to go out there and win every week. And he was talking about the week before against the Western Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium. He said, it's just not how it works in AFL football. He said, it's a hard, tough competition. And you have to earn every single win, no matter who you are playing against. You have to earn every single win, no matter who you are playing against. And I think the word there, earn. Yeah, just earn. And we earned that win. We earned it. Yeah, in one and a bit quarters, we earned that win. And that was enough. Really, that was enough. And even in the first half, where they beat up on us, North Melbourne, they beat up on us. They really did. They brought the fight. They were plucky, determined, some skill around the stoppages. They got some players in there, Simpkin, LDU, and some who played some cameo roles who I think are going to get better in time. Will Phillips surprised me, 3 clearances out of the middle. Zerha going in there as that mid forward, was able to win some ball. Even thought when Greenwood came on, he enabled them to get that ball out of the middle. I think he had 4 centre square clearances when he came on. Powell, the experience of Shields. I know Cunnington didn't have a great game, but he's always around the mark. And even someone like sort of Bailey Scott, I thought played quite well in there as well. So they did have some numbers in there that caused us headaches. And I just didn't think we necessarily rolled the sleeves up early in the game. But I kept coming back to how thin our midfield really looks at the moment. And I suppose the trainer thought, from my perspective, is we're a little bit down in there in regards to output and form. Of numbers in regards to who we got in there at the moment and how thin we are. It's sort of like thinking, well, we went only 2 points behind, I think, at halftime or wherever that small margin was, and they just controlled that part of the game, the contest, the clearances, the contest. They were fierce, and as much as we weren't playing the game in our back half and a little bit slow, a little bit conservative, I was a little bit worried about that if we continued that trend. And just given the fact that, what have we got in there? Cripps, Hewitt down a little bit at the moment. Chera probably not at the top of his game, playing okay. Ed Curnow, well, what role was he playing in that first half? And who was the next mix coming in there? There really wasn't anyone else. So they were rolling numbers through there, and we were just relying on that, really, that trio of Cripps, Hewitt, and Chera to get the job done, and it just wasn't really good enough. So to come out in that third quarter and just change it up, mix it up, and put Doc in there, and get Hollins there at times, and Fisher, and just try a few things, put Ed onto LDU and give him a role. Like, fuck, if he's going to play, give him a role. Like, actually, are we going back to the stage where we're just going to let Ed run around and just be a freewheeling midfielder, or are we going to give him a role? Maybe he had a role in the first half and it wasn't working, but he definitely went to LDU. And yeah, I don't think Luke Davies-Uniacke was as influential in that third. Well, he wasn't in the third quarter, but he certainly probably went out of the game somewhat. And then just to change the game in regards to our physicality, I think it just shows some maturity. On the back of that, just the score in the manner in which we did, and give our forwards a little bit more of a quicker look, and that then brings the smalls into the game as well, because they're energised, because the ball comes in a little bit quicker and they can get into better positions and a hell of a lot more dangerous. But it's about, I don't know, I just feel like for us it's about sustainability, and can we sustain that? And I feel like we can come in a rush, and a real rush. But what does the next layer look like for us in that regards? And that's why the last quarter for me was so disappointing, that I don't know, I would have felt more comfortable with the win if we what did we get to? Was it mid-40s or 40-odd points in front? I would have been more comfortable if we were able to maybe ice that game and take the sting out of it. I don't know. But that's just us. That's just us. So I'm still trying to get my head around with our team. I think we are maturing, definitely, in regards to all the things I've spoken about. You don't come out in that third quarter unless the belief is there and the leadership is there, and I suppose that culture that the club's trying to build. Because that was an upset on the cards. And I don't think it would have surprised anyone if North came out, in that third quarter and kept taking it up to us, but we didn't allow them to. And we we were the ones who started to dictate the play to them, and they're the ones that started to panic, and they were the ones that started to give away silly free kicks and put them on the back foot. So I think that, for me, was really impressive. But just frustrating the way we finished that game. I'm not going to underestimate the win, but I'm still getting my head around a lot of things. Is it around? I mean, it has to be around individual brilliance. A lot of teams, the best competition have just individuals who are elite in the competition, and we do have elite players. But are our wins and the way we play on the back of just individuals lifting, and or does that the way we finish the game, is that around structure? Because I think a really good structure and a really good team would be able to get to that point in the game where we are so much in control that we continue that. We find a way within the fabric of the team to either continue that dominance or at least halve it and not let them, a really weakened side, let's face it, they had a dip in the first half, the Kangaroos, but you can't tell me, okay, those 4 goals they got were because they were the better team. It was all about us, I thought, in the last part of that game. And that's the thing for me that I'm still trying to come to terms with. It's a hard, tough competition, and you have to earn every single win, and that's what Chris Fagan said. And that's what we're finding out, which is good, okay, which is good. And next week, it's going to be another hard, tough, competitive game on the road against the Adelaide Crows, and you have to earn, okay, every single win, no matter who you are playing. And we are 3 wins and a draw, and even Alistair Clarkson, who was glowing of us after the game, in regards to what we've been able to build this year, and even spoke about our win against GWS last week. He said that is really hard and tough to go up to that stadium and try and win a game of football. So are we underestimating what we're doing at the moment? Possibly. But we can still ask questions. We can still ask questions of our football team and ask the question why. Not so much why we were a little bit on the back foot in that first half, because we knew North Melbourne would bring the heat, but ask the question why we fell away like we did in that last quarter, because I think that's not acceptable at all. All right, so let's go. Let's go to the individuals. I like doing this, just going through the team. Have a look at the players, how they played. I didn't like Jack Silvani's game. I know he got on the end of one in the last quarter, got his hands on the ball, 16 disposals, but some of his turnovers were just not AFL standard. Took a nice mark in the third, but sprayed the kick. Lucky Harry marked it. For me, still question marks on Jack, and I've been consistent on this for a while now. So what does that look like for us moving forward? What are the options? I don't think there are any. So he'll continue to get opportunities. I like at the moment that we're going with 2 rucks, which enables him to settle into that position. But I just didn't think he played a good game, although he had 16 disposals. Like Motlop's game, really like the way he's growing. Second-year player, 6 inside 50s he had, which maybe gives us a bit of a snapshot into what he could do in the future in regards to maybe pinch hitting in the middle, or up around the ball as that real high half forward. Love his clinical finishing. In the third quarter was a cracker. Never looked like missing, then kicked another long goal in that last. I just feel like we've got a pretty special player on our hands with Jesse Motlop. I liked his pressure as well, particularly after half time. Lockie O'Brien. Um, what do you say? You just don't want to sink the boots in because it as you go, it's a hard, tough competition, and he struggles in that regard. And I said before the game that this will be on, this will be on. Um, and he I don't know, it's not good enough, and yeah, I just feel like he's a real weakness. I just don't think there's any part of his game that is good enough. Its level, which is disappointing because he's on our list and he's got another year running on his contract. So he'll probably continue to get opportunities until someone like a Matthew Cottrell is back in the mix. And then that starts to put pressure on O'Brien because we have another winger who can come in if there's injuries. Yeah, I just felt like it was a really poor performance. He did have his 15 touches. I just didn't think he hurt the opposition, and yeah, it was just a poor game. Chera, yeah, look, I don't know. It just, I don't mind until we get some truths back in there, and I think we'll start to see hopefully the likes of Hewitt and Chera start to build their season. It's a big workload. But yeah, it's just at the moment for Chera. I think he's getting there. He's looking okay at times, but yeah, I don't think it's anything that you sort of look at Adam Chera's year so far, and 18 disposals. You look at that and go, okay, can he do better than that? Is he a better player than that? I think he is. I think we've seen him play better football than that. He's not getting forward and impacting the scoreboard. We'd like our mids to be able to do that. We're not seeing that at the moment. So yeah, I think that he can certainly lift. Cripper, very quiet in the first half. Almost felt like that they target him. But they did a good job on him. But he was the one. With a couple of others in there. With Doherty going in there that really got us going. And he had a huge second half, 29 disposals. He only had the 6 kicks, so I don't mind him handballing. I feel like he's a better player when he's actually handballing rather than kicking. I think it's a really solid performance by the skipper, but just more around leadership. I think he just sees the moment that game was essentially on the line at half time, and I reckon him and the leaders would have put their heads together at half time and thought, okay, all right, we need to change the course of the game, and he did exactly that. Harry was huge. How good's he look? How good's his hands look up? When he pushes up the ground, and very hard to stop. He's still heart in the mouth. When he's kicking for goal. That comical situation in the last quarter. But he looks gassed at times because he's working so hard. But yeah, you can't fault his performance. It was 14 marks, 16 touches and 4 goals. Big game by H. Mitch McGovern, he was superb. I think he's having a pretty good year. 4 games in, and yeah, I just feel like he's playing quite well. He's really important down there, and you sort of think if he goes out of the team, it sort of changes us up a little bit. Definitely changes us up a little bit. Who comes in and plays that role? Is it a Brody Kemp? No Marchbank at the moment, so he's bloody important. I feel like his disposal yesterday was really good. Time and space, uses the ball really well on both sides of the body. Clean. Good game. I just hope that knock he copped. You wouldn't put him back on if it was a strain. You don't run out a game with a strained hamstring, and why would you? Hope it's just a corky and it's not as serious as we think us supporters think it may be. Given fucking the history of injuries with this bloke, but I just really like the way he's playing at the moment. I really do. The Conning and Pitnet and the ruck was serviceable. Seems to be working at the moment. It's going to be interesting when we start to bring some more numbers in with the midfielders coming in and what that looks like. It's really interesting at the moment. I don't even think they were outstanding. We got beaten in the clearances. I don't think that was of poor ruck work. I just feel like they were better around the ball than us, their midfielders. But yeah, it was an okay games by TDK and Pitnet. Holland's only 15 touches, but got some midfield minutes, centre square, won some important contests, couple of turnovers, runs his ring off. I'm liking him on that wing. I'm really liking him on that wing. I just hope he can sustain it. I know he's fit. Did notice he had a knee bandage on. He had that on for the whole year. Can't remember him having it on for the first 3 rounds. I hope he's not carrying a little bit of a niggle there. But someone so young, just got a really, really calm head on his shoulders. Just another really solid performance by the kid. Doherty, quite early, went into the mid. I thought it was a bit of a game changer, to be perfectly honest, and I liked the fact that they pulled that rein with putting Doc in there. We look better when he's in there, particularly when we're down on numbers. But he only had the 19 touches, which was down on his possession output. But I think he had a pretty good impact in that third quarter. Carroll came on as the sub, got his hands on it 4 times. It's hard to assess that. You would think he probably goes out of the team with Walsh and Kennedy coming back in, and it just, I don't know, just leaves question marks on someone who's in his 3rd season at the football club and may not get the opportunities. He has to go back and just rack them up at VFL level. Durden really didn't like his first half, and I'm looking at that shoulder injury, and I'm looking at him and what he was able to do last year and in some of the games he played in his first. He just attacked the body of the opposition and his tackling was fierce. I feel like that part of his game's not quite there at the moment. And I don't know whether that's to do with the shoulder. I reckon it may. It doesn't look like he's attacking the man with as much ferociousness. And I was thinking about him in the first half and thinking this kid needs a spell. And then he comes out in that third quarter, and when you have control of the game, the little guys start to get on the end of a few, and he did. But it's a bit of a watch at the moment with Corey Durden, if I have to be honest. I feel like he might need to lift another cog. But not having Owies there, I suppose, it might impact that as well. Wiedering was big. Loved his game, although Larkey was labouring. But that was a general. I felt like that was just a complete general performance by Wiedering. He looked big and strong and hard to get past. And Larkey's given us headaches in the past, but he was sore. He was sore, Larkey, and never looked like having an impact. So, but I just thought Wiedering played really well. Newman the same. Although I was trying to get a read on who the fuck was playing on Zerha. Was it Newman at times? Was it McGovern at times? Who was fucking playing on Zerha? Because he was causing us a few headaches. Was it Newman? But Newman's playing well. He's playing well, and I thought that was just another solid performance by Nick Newman. Fishers ended up with 28 disposals and 19 handballs, but only 329 metres gained and only 4 inside 50s, but 28 touches. Not too shabby, those numbers. How effective those were, questionable, but hopefully a step in the right direction for Zach Fisher. Still a watch. Lockie Cowan did some nice things down back. Long season. It's going to be a long season. Seems to be holding up quite well down there with the experience around him. Took a couple of nice marks and looked quite steady. George Hewitt just down on form at the moment, only 15 touches. Yeah, just looks down on form. will need to lift, and we'll see it. He's a quality player, but just down. Charlie Hughes won a lot of free kicks, but they were all there. Fuck, they were all there. He just looks dynamite, and his kicking is superb at the moment, and his field kicking's good. His field kicking is really good. I think it's an area of his game that's really improved. Just the decision making and the depth and he's looking really, really strong at the moment. Lewis Young had the better of young Comben, who only had the 5 handballs. He may have spent a little bit of time, or he just happened to be caught up with Zerha in that last quarter. But yeah, another big game by Lewis Young, 22 disposals in 10 marks, and used the ball really well. Didn't overcomplicate things, went short because that's his go. Good game. Ed, as I said, went to LDU. That's going to be interesting. You feel like his position in the team, I don't know, you start to think about where he goes. Does he now become the sub? Because you feel like he could be the perfect sub, given the fact that he's such a team-orientated footballer. He just wants to be a part of it, and he can come on and play a role, whether that's in our front half or through the midfield. Honey, yeah, I was just disappointed with, he just couldn't lay a fucking tackle. He didn't lay a tackle for the game, and he was just sidestepped, and I'm glad he got on the end of a goal. I really am, but yeah, he'll go out. And Saab was really good again. 25 disposals and set us up from the back half. Anyway, guys, that's it. I'll see you again later in the week for the big preview for our gather round game against the Adelaide Crows. Speak soon.